everywhere, 4 o'clock somewhere. Welcome. And thank you to those who put on their background for some of their natural places to go. So we are in the spirit to go. As you can see, I'm on the beach. Unfortunately, they're closed right now in Florida, but my mind is there. Leave it on all week to promote Earth Week, and maybe it will make you feel a little bit better. So we invited you for Canopy Hour, and we also invited you to bring a canopy to eat. So I don't know if you can see this. There. Treat yourself, it says. Munch on something that you enjoy. I also hope you brought a glass of wine or your favorite drink to toast to Mother Earth at the end of our presentation, or of course, anytime you feel. Let me show you what I brought, fresh from my yard. Can you see it? It's a fresh coconut.
Nice.
All right. So we appreciate you joining us today on Earth Day, wherever you are. Given today's situation, the silver lining is we have no carbon footprint. In fact, we will leave a positive one. We will leave Earth better today than when we started, as we're planting some trees towards the end. So a million thanks to those who have contributed already to grow our canopy. We will get to this just a little later. Okay, so for now, we would like to ourselves. We have 2 speakers. The presentation should be more or less 30 minutes. And please, please, please feel free to add your comments and your questions at the chat box at the bottom of your screen. I'm sure everybody is hopefully familiar with Zoom these days. And then we get to it towards the end. So a few words about myself. My name is Steffi Kordy. I'm the owner of Cocoon Incentives. We are a DMC and an incentive house based here in Miami. I am this year's Site Florida Caribbean Sustainability Champion. And I've been in the industry for about 20 years. 10 years I worked for a DMC in Chicago, and the last 10 years I owned my own. And when I founded my own company, I certainly had sustainability in mind. In fact, my office has a solar roof, and the sun is shining, so there should be no outage today. I'm also the author of several travel guides and magazines on travel and culture. And in case you wonder where my accent is from, I'm originally from Germany, where sustainability was put into our heads at a very early age. So I'm very passionate about it, and in everything I personally do, as well as in my work. So that's what put me into this place, and I'm going to pass it on to Tracy.
Hello. So I am Tracy Cannolly. I am the destination expert for Visit St. Pete Clearwater. I'm also honored to serve on the Florida Site Florida and Caribbean board as the VP of Industry Relations. So like Steffi, I care a lot about green initiatives, especially since visitors come from all over the world to walk on our beautiful white sandy beaches and swim in our crystal clear, beautiful Gulf. I also spent several years working on a cruise ship, followed by a career in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was around this time that I realized the importance of clean waters, clean oceans, and especially the coral reefs. As you know, oceans cover 71% of the Earth's surface, and the coral reefs are basically its forests. So I'm happy to say that all the hotels that I work with, my partners, my planners, everybody is very also excited about green initiatives. I'm sure you are too, which is why you're on this webinar. So Steffi and I are hoping that maybe we can share some ideas back and forth. Maybe you can take away something that you can make some changes in your business, as well as probably in your personal life. So thanks for joining us. Okay.
All right, just a quick overview of what we will talk about. So we will dig a little bit deeper into Earth Day. Today is the big day. I'm sure you've read in the news and everywhere already a little bit about it, but we'll dig just a little bit deeper, and we'll also give you some ideas, also some further information on the Canopy project. Furthermore, we'll give you some exemplary and exceptional sustainable practices that people have done in our industry. And we have that three-folded. We will have ideas from some of our site member DMCs. We will have some great examples from member hotels. And then we also will go over some commitments that our chapter has taken, the Site Florida Caribbean chapter. And then we go to the fun part. We'll call to action. We'll plant some trees together, not just some trees, a whole canopy. We'll cheer to our planet, and we will go over to some question and answers. So like I mentioned earlier, please feel free to use the chat box and add it. We have someone who will monitor it, and we'll get to it later. All right, so what is Earth Day? The first Earth Day was 50 years ago. It was in 1970s. So I was only about a year old, so I had to do a little bit of research as I was too little to remember, and probably many of you. So we have our own troubles today, but this is what happened in 1970 and sparked the first Earth Day. I'm going to bring this up because it also puts hopefully some perspective into our current situation and shows that there's always been obstacles in our way, and they will always overcome. So for instance, the Dow Jones back in 1970 dropped to, get ready, 631 points. Imagine. So we're not in such a bad shape today. Another thing that happened is the first jumbo jet went into service. It seemed like we always had jumbo jets. The Concorde made its first supersonic flight. There was a cyclone in Bangladesh that killed 500,000 people. There was an earthquake in Peru that killed 67,000 people. The Beatles disbanded, Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix died on overdose, and Simon and Garfunkel released their final album together, Bridge Over Troubled Water. It was an era when people sensed that our Earth is vulnerable and not replaceable. People started to protest and take action against environmental pollution. And for that reason, in 1970, the first Earth Day was proclaimed. With it, a wave of action happened, including the passage of landmark environmental laws in the United States. The Clean Air, Clean Water, and Endangered Species Acts were created in response to the first Earth Day in 1970, as well as the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. Many countries soon adopted similar laws. Earth Day continues to hold major international significance. In 2016, the United Nations chose Earth Day as the day when the historic Paris Agreement on climate change was signed into force. Every year, people all over the world take actions such as planting trees, which leads us to the Canopy project and Tracy.
So what is the Canopy project? Earth Day Network launched the Canopy project in 2010 to focus primarily on planting trees, also benefiting local communities, increasing habitat for species, and to combat climate change. Because expanding croplands, agriculture systems, building roads, and of course, harvesting wood for lumber, all of this has led to worldwide deforestation. In fact, the planet is currently losing 18 million acres of forest every year. So, okay, what's an acre? So to put that in terms that we can understand, that's basically 27 soccer fields of forest being lost every minute. So to help combat that loss, Earth Day Network works with global partners to reforest areas in dire need of rehabilitation, including communities most at risk from climate change. They've also conducted broad tree planting in the wake of environmental disasters, like planting 50,000 trees, or I'm sorry, no, 500,000 trees in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. So since the Canopy project was launched, tens of millions of trees have been planted, but that's just not enough. So in the coming year, Earth Day Network and the Canopy project has a goal of planting 7.8 billion trees. That's one tree for every person on the planet. So they're going to do that to honor the 50th anniversary of Earth Day 2020, which is today. So we're hoping that you will help us support the Canopy project to plant more trees. Okay.
So next, we would like to talk about some good ideas and real-life examples of what we can do to make our industry more sustainable, not only for nature, but also for the people and the economy. In the first segment, we reached out to some of our member DMCs, and they gave us some ideas on how we can implement earth-friendly ideas into our programs, many of them on a shoestring, because not all of our clients have or are willing to put a big budget towards a sustainable project. So we made sure to select ideas that can easily be implemented without breaking the bank. Okay. So Gina Tiemann from Florida Destination, a DMC based in the Tampa area, started Hospitality Harvest Initiative. She knew that the hospitality industry frequently disposes gently used items such as towels, bedding, uniforms, and toiletries. She then identified nonprofits such as homeless shelters in her area that could benefit from these items. With that, she launched Hospitality Harvest Initiative in 2017 and has since donated thousands of slippers, pillows, towels, and uniforms. Look at the picture at the bottom right. That's her at a homeless shelter given uniforms that were used in a restaurant in one of the hotels, and that, you know, they changed the uniform style, and so they were in perfect shape and found a second life, because someone's trash is someone else's treasure. The same is true for leftover foods that can be brought to a food bank or local charity. Remember, there is a Good Samaritan law, so you will never be liable in case there's anything wrong with that food. Or if you have a lot of signage or backdrops that can be, those can be dropped off at a local school or drama club and will get a second life. In a nutshell, before you recycle, try to reduce, reuse, or repurpose. Recycling is good, but it's the last R. Reach out to the hotels or to your meeting planners or your DMCs. They probably have some good connection for you to give those items a second life. And okay. So my company, Cocoon Incentives, we always try to weave in some sustainable activities that are by nature sustainable, such as a themed walking tour, a sunset sailing, or a bike tour exploring a neighborhood. If you do have to use a bus, ask them to not idle while you're waiting. And ask your providers to use reusable dishes, real plates and utensils rather than disposable. Food waste, including in how it is served, is one of our largest carbon imprint, and it's an easy one to avoid. Many people these days have gotten away with plastic straws these days. So remember that the plastic cup, even though you may have a better straw, may still be plastic, even bioplastic, which is better, of course, but it still will not decompose very well. So if that lands in the waterways, it is just as hazardous as a regular plastic cup. So try to go to the real stuff, to the glass. Another intrinsic activity that with a feel-good impact for the participants and a positive impact on nature is a cleanup of some sort, such as you see in this picture here. It's a mangrove cleanup, or of course you can do beach cleanups or park cleanup if you are maybe further north. I know we have reached out in this webinar to our partners in Texas and in up north, in the Northeast, and in the Midwest. So if you're here, you may not have a beach, although Chicago has beautiful beaches too. Anyhow, there's plenty of cleanup opportunities up there as well. When you do these, try to not add more plastic than when you started. And with that, I mean, try to avoid heavy-duty plastic bags. Instead, use sturdy paper bags, buckets, or reusable work gloves. All of those you can easily get at Home Depot, and for some projects, they might even donate them for you. Okay. So now we get into one of my favorite projects, citizen scientists. I don't know if anybody has heard of that so far. Through the University of Miami or other institutions like this, you can go on a scientific expedition and support their research. In this case, you will tag sharks. This is for smaller groups, maybe 20 people or so, and you will go on a boat for half a day, tag sharks, and track their whereabouts, their growth, their health, and so on. Of course, the real scientists continue the tracking, but it is a great day out on the water with a real purpose. The Ritz-Carlton Miami Beach recently supported such an event, and it was a huge success. Another project along the coastline is the Sea Turtle Project. And that can be done in two ways, depending on the season. You can assist securing sea turtle hatching areas by marking them, but this is very seasonal. Or you can send each attendee an adoption letter. You can adopt a sea turtle in the name of the company or maybe of the person even. And you'll mail it to them afterwards. It's a very nice gift, costs about $35, and it will make everybody feel really good. In fact, our board last year adopted a sea turtle during a board meeting, and we named it Bubble Butt, and because of a condition it had. But anyhow, it just made it was an easy project to do good in your local environment. And then we go to the next slide. We see another excellent project. Together with Connect and Ben Sauvage, I believe he waved in, so he's here. He was our previous site president, and he's very involved in this matter. So our chapter had an event in the Dominican Republic last year, where his DMC is located. They arranged for a baseball game against a local team. So prior to the event, they bought some baseball equipment and they made sure it was locally made to support local business and not to have a high carbon impact on the transportation. And of course, you supported a local business by purchasing it. In the end, we left the equipment as a gift to the local children that we played against. So we had a really, we had a fun game, we connected to a local community and left a meaningful, locally made gift behind. So the message to take away from this, try to use local vendors for your gifts or your equipment rather than shipping it in. And also try to integrate the local community so that they're part of the fun and you share connection to the people in the destination that you visited. So those were some examples of what DMCs have shared with us, and we're heading over to what some really good ideas of what hotels have done. Tracy?
Yes, hotels, my favorite thing to talk about. So we're going to start in my own backyard. One of my favorite properties here in Clearwater Beach is the Sand Pearl Resort. So Sand Pearl opened in 2007. They were thinking of the green footprint from day one. They're Florida's first Silver LEED certificate hotel. So during the construction process, approximately 24 million pounds of building materials were reintroduced back into the manufacturing stream rather than getting shipped off to the landfill. So that ended up being about 65% of their construction waste, such as like wood, concrete, plastic, metal. All of that was recycled back on property, or it was sent to another construction site. So if they had thrown that in a landfill, it probably would still be sitting there today. We're all good, Todd? So they also have these really cool monitoring systems in the meeting space and in their shared spaces. So when you have a meeting and a bunch of people come into the meeting room, the system automatically knows that there's a lot of people in the room and it decreases the temperature. So when the meeting's over and everyone leaves, the system knows that there's not that many people in the room and it automatically raises the temperature. So those are several of the cool things that they did when they were building the property. But of course, if you're not building a property, that doesn't necessarily help, but there are some really great practical things that you can do on a property now. Some of the things that they've done in their spa is all of their products are derived from natural resources like seaweed, natural minerals, plant extracts. All of their packaging is from recycled materials, and they never use products with preservatives or synthetics. So lots of great, cool stuff happening in Clearwater Beach, along with a lot of the other hotels as well. So we'll talk next about our friend and site member, Jessica Angelo from the Ocean Reef Club. So she was very excited to share some of the many things that her property does, and they're both big and small. So many things like excess food is donated to food banks and shelters. Their cooking oil is actually recycled to produce biofuels, which I thought was really cool. Their straws are not plastic, but their straws are not cardboard and they're not paper either. Their straws are made with avocado pits. So that was kind of a new one for me. So I have to find out where they get those. They also have a goal for all the petroleum-based plastic items on the property to be eliminated before the end of this year. They also have an associate-based land and sea cleanup. They have these events every year throughout the property. So the associates get out, get their hands dirty on the property, on the beach, and in the water as well. But what's really cool is the coral reefs. So let's talk about coral reefs for a minute. So coral reefs contain the most diverse ecosystem on the entire planet. They protect coastlines from damaging effects of wave action, tropical storms. They provide habitat for tons and tons of marine life. So a fun little fact, the Florida Keys reef tract is the only living coral barrier reef in North America. And it's actually the third largest in the entire world. It's 221 miles long. So it's definitely worth protecting because that coral reef protects our beautiful Florida Keys. So in 2013, the Ocean Reef Club partnered with Coral Restoration Foundation to help rebuild their local reefs, and more specifically the Cordysport Reef, which actually sits right off the coastline. So in 2015, the Ocean Reef Club and the Coral Restoration Foundation committed to planting 20,000 corals, new corals, by the end of this year. So a couple of big goals they have for 2020, so bravo to both of them. So while we're talking about coral reefs and great partnerships, we can head on down to the Cayman Islands and check in with our good friends at the Kimpton Seafire Resort and Spa. So they have this really awesome program that I thought was cool called the Guardians. So the Kimpton Seafire, they sponsor their staff members to become coral certified through the Professional Association of Dive Instructors. So they invest in their associates to take a real ownership in protecting and developing and regenerating coral reefs that surround their island. I think there's probably about 15 people in that program, and I'm sure it's probably a really big honor for those associates to take part in that. They also recycle and support local businesses. So they have this really cool biking path, walking and biking path between Kimpton Seafire and 7 Mile Beach, and that's built with recycled glass pavers. And that was actually fabricated by a local business. And a lot of the glass that goes into those pavers actually came from the windows that sat on the building that sat on the original site where the Seafire is currently. So they definitely recycled those. And they also focus on more than just the sea, they focus on land as well. So most of the plants on property were propagated from a 26-year-old nursery right there on the island. So Seafire has more than 600 unique species of native, endemic, or regional plants on its 12-acre site. So lots of stuff from all those properties. I don't know about you, but when I go to stay at a hotel, or even if you're looking to book a meeting, it's nice to maybe look on their website. I know a lot of properties are very proud of their sustainability practices or green practices, or you can even ask to have share that with you. So I know they're very proud of that. It's always cool to look at some interesting and some cool things that some hotels are doing. Okay, what's next?
Excellent, Tracy. Yeah, we definitely are fortunate to have really great hotels that play along with the sustainability. And I see in the chat that everybody's asking about the avocado straw. So
yeah,
Jessica,
I know,
there,
cool.
I'm trying to find out a little about this. We'll get to this at the end. But it is also a reminder, please use the chat box, put in your comments and your feedback and your own ideas maybe, so we can get to them a little later. So now we would like to, we go to the third portion of our good examples, and that is the sustainable practices we as the Florida Caribbean side chapter have chosen to do. And the reason why we even, talk about this now is so that all of them are easily, easy copy and paste to whether to your own chapter or to any meeting, or if you work in a hotel or so, anybody can apply these practices. So yeah, I see we have the next slide up. Perfect. So take a minute to familiarize yourself with those icons if you haven't seen this chart yet. It is something that the United States developed 5 years ago, and it contains 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. I'm going to say it extra slow because otherwise it sounds like something else that we're not promoting. So each of these SDGs is of equal importance. You might relate more to a certain one or another, and depends a little bit also on your situation. Our site chapter chose to embrace 5 SDGs, and we focus on them during our local chapter events. The ones that we selected are gender equality. In fact, our board is perfectly balanced. We are embracing good health and well-being, and who would have known, it's especially significant this year. We also embrace quality education, sustainable cities and communities, as well as life on land and life below water. So choose what is close to your heart and try to integrate it at home and at work. And today we're definitely supporting the climate action by building the tree canopy. And then when we go to the next slide, okay, thank you. So that one is basically something I know you've heard before. It's nothing we have invented. The R's for R's. When you set up an event or anything really, see if you can live without it. See if it can be refused. If not, if you can reuse it. For instance, florals. Of course you want to have some florals, but maybe you can use a kind that can be reused for another event, or that will have a larger lifespan than just a couple of days. And then after it has been reused, see if you can repurpose it before you recycle it. You see here on the right-hand side a few of the plants, so we even use, or people even use old cans that are nicely done, makes a nice little centerpiece. Depending on your, event, not everyone, if it's a formal dinner, maybe not, but certainly it will serve the purpose for many of your meetings. The picture below is, I just recently learned about that one and I love it. It's a pencil made out of wood, so that by itself is pretty good. But at the tip of it, you see a little green part, and that contains some seeds. So if you put that, when after you're done using that pencil and you're kind of towards the end of it, you just take it, you stick it in the ground somewhere or in a pot, and voila, next thing you know is you're going to have some fresh basil growing there. So those are, everybody will need paper and pencils, and I think those are really, really great and memorable little keepsakes almost. So those are just some ideas. And then we have a few more. Okay. Thank you. So we use, as we consider where we hold our event, we try to use centrally located venues that can be reached easily and by public transportation or by ride share. And by ride share, this can also mean give a ride to one of your colleagues or friends. So you can start the networking right there in your car. Trust me, I do it a lot and I love it. You can, instead of providing heavy or meal-based meat-based meals, sorry, you can offer plant-based foods on hors d'oeuvre. You can have a menu card that is seeded, meaning there's flower seeds inside it. So after you're done with your meal, it doesn't just go to the landfill, but you can take it home and you can plant it. And a little while later, you even have cute little flowers popping out. You can pay attention by choosing hotels or suppliers who have good sustainable practices. Avoid single-using dishes. Avoid plastic dishes like plastic bottles, because there's really, really good alternatives. There's no reason why we should really have to use them. You can serve water in in glass bottles, in a carafe, in glasses, or if you know, you don't want to give your attendees a glass bottle, you can have maybe those reusable containers that you provide as a gift. As a chapter, we also offer educational events such as this one, and given the current situation, we made this one virtual, and voila, it's not so bad, and we hope. And anyhow, I think if every other or second, third, whatever meeting could be virtual, it you know, it may be a good thing. We always support local charities, for instance, the Autism Walk or the Canopy Project, and which leads me up to our kind of almost the grand finale. And remember, put your ideas in the message box to share. So we can go to the next slide.
So our call to action, and I have been watching the chats that come up. Everybody has some really, really great ideas and cool ideas. And you guys have all said very nice things. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. So here's our call to action, and we're going to tie this all back into the Canopy Project. So as I had mentioned before, the Canopy Project has a goal of planting 7.8 billion trees, one person or one tree for every person on Earth. So the least you could do is plant your own tree. You can definitely give more, plant a tree for everyone in your family, for a client or for a loved one. On the next slide, you'll see, I love these. It's a QR code. It's a QR code. So you just put your phone up to the code and take a picture of it, and it will take you right to the Site Florida Caribbean site, where you can fill in the information for the donation that goes to the Canopy Project. We're also going to send out a post webinar survey. Please take the survey. I promise it's going to be very painless. It's very quick and very short. But on that survey, there's also going to be a link that you can follow that link to donate as well. We're partnering with the Site Global and other site partners or other site chapters. So we really hope to have a big impact or make a big donation on behalf of the entire site community. So I know we were collecting some money before, but Steffi or maybe Todd, do we want to celebrate how much we've donated so far?
Absolutely. So everybody get their glass ready, because we have something to celebrate. So I don't know earlier if you saw my drink here, coconut. I hope you guys have some wine or something fun to cheer on. So thank you so much for everybody who has already donated. We have way over 500 trees already, so I call that a canopy, and we'll get to Todd in a second. He has the latest and greatest number. But so that was really, really nice of everybody who contributed. Thank you so much. We as a chapter, we also donate one for each member. So again, thanks to all those members that maybe not be present today, but so on their behalf as a chapter, we did that. And yeah, so chin chin, cheers.
Cheers.
Something really good today, and you left the earth a better place than when you started. Go ahead, Todd.
Thank you.
Yay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Todd Mickey. I'm the president for Site in Florida Caribbean chapter. We appreciate you taking the time to learn a few ways to better our earth. And I would like to congratulate Tracy and Steffi for putting together a webinar that was meaningful, impactful, and follows suit with of what our chapter believes in. I can't go without saying that Miss Jane Scaletta, the Deputy Director for the Cayman Islands Tourism, and Ben Savage with Connect TMC out of the Dominican Republic, as well as Mexico, paved the way for our chapter last year, earning our chapter the Excellence Award for Sustainability. So cheers to those folks. And we do have 2 chats coming in. And it's all about the ladies did a great job. Tracy, fantastic. And so Steffi. And then we have one question brought to us by one of our own, Ellie Sousey, regarding shark tagging and turtles. Can Miami University help you with these programs in other areas when we travel?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. So Miami, University of Miami, obviously that's, they're going to do local stuff here. But I know the citizen scientist is in other areas as well. So often they are tied with the universities, so you can reach out to them, or you can always reach out to the person here at University of Miami. I'm sure they're connected with other universities, but you know, a university in Chicago is going to have different projects. They're not going to go shark tagging because no sharks in the lakes there, I think, but they'll have other scientific projects that they will work with. So yes, reach out. I think if you Google citizen scientist, did I say that right? Yeah. Then you know, some things should come up, but that's the one that we use, you know, that we utilize here.
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, also using wherever you're going, using the Convention Visitors Bureau is a huge resource for you. There are a lot of programs like that that may not be called that same thing, but they're very similar. I know in Clearwater Beach, the Clearwater Marine Aquarium does something very similar as far as taking people out and doing a lot of science and research. But you wouldn't really know that unless you reach out to your CDB or if you knew about it specifically with the Clearwater Marine Aquarium.
And I don't see any other questions at this time, but Jessica Angelo from the Ocean Reef Club is going to get us information on the avocado pit straws. Woo! That's a game changer. We've got one more new message here. Are we able to see each other? I can't see anyone but a few people talking. That came from Jane Scaletta. No, Jane, we can't see you. You can only see us. I'm sorry about that. We're still getting used to the Zoom webinars. Well, I think, ladies, that you did a wonderful job. I would like to also thank Rebecca Wright with Site Global for offering or assisting us with this project. It's a new position that Site Global has, and it's been a breath of fresh air. And I want to thank the entire board and any other chapters. I know that I think we've got Texas in here. We might have Southeast, Northeast, all great brother and sister chapters. So thank you for your participation. We actually raised $700, which means 700 trees today in 38 minutes. So we actually really built our own canopy.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
really
outstanding.
Nice. Thank you.
So
Awesome.
I think we all appreciate everybody that's contributed, from $1 to somebody dropped some big cash. But thank you so much, and let's keep this earth alive. It's the only one we have.
Yep.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be well.